What's going on, everybody? It's the Catch Can. Looking forward to today's episode on, of course, the Quaker State 400 at EchoPark Speedway, the artist formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway. Bumping, banging, restrictor plates, anything you want on the new Atlanta, as we're all well aware. And yesterday's race was action-packed. I think that's probably the best way you can describe it. There was plenty of drama, plenty of cautions, plenty of wrecks. One of the largest wrecks that I can recall in quite some time on a track of that size. It looked like Daytona and Talladega. In fact, that wreck may have put some of the big ones at Daytona and Talladega to shame because there was a lot of cars involved. Half the field ends up junked. Lots of cars have significant damage. There's maybe 10 cars, 9 cars right around there who are clean enough to be able to consistently vie back and forth. Ended up being an exciting finish. The last 30 laps were absolutely riveting. You all saw it. If you're watching this recap, I don't need to explain it to you, but a solid enough race. You can nitpick the new Atlanta, that's fine. You can love the new Atlanta, that's fine. This race had a little something for everybody. Whether you want to love it, whether you want to hate it, there was plenty of things that you could have latched onto in either of those regards. Of course, as the intro video states, Catch Can's here to give you some of those details, some of those finer print things that you may have missed after the coverage of the event has ended. I'm going to try to get these videos out every day after the race. It might be a little bit later. Sometimes it takes some time to compile such statistics and get everything looking good, as you all understand. But point being, I'm going to try to make this a consistent factor. So let's not waste any time. Let's start first and foremost, not with the race winner, but with the pole position. Of course, qualifying, lo and behold, becomes before the race. So just to give you some statistics, a rundown on the pole sitter, that of course was Joey Logano. Logano has his first pole of the season here at EchoPark. First pole all year long for that number 22 Team Penske Ford. It's the 32nd of his career, all things considered. Pole number 32 for Joey. That's his third pole in his career at Atlanta/EchoPark Speedway that he's had all time. Multiple trips to the location. That's his third pole per Racing Reference. All things there. Now, as we transition from the pole winner, by the way, to set the tone for qualifying, 8 of the top 10 cars were all Fords. All right. In fact, the first top 8 was all Fords. Very dominant qualifying performance by Ford. That script would 100% flip as the race unfolded. Your winner, Chevrolet, Chase Elliott, and the number 9 Napa Auto Parts machine. Cool paint scheme there this week for Chase. Good cause, and for Elliott, what a performance it was for him. This was a massive victory, not only for his morale, because here's the thing. Chase has got a lot of criticism this year. Love him or hate him. Some of it deserved, some of it not so much. He's been doing everything he's needed to do to just kind of stay right on that barometer, right in the middle. I know if you look at playoff standings, it got a little sketchy because we've had so many unique winners and things such as that. And that's what guys like Tyler Reddick and everything are concerned about on a week-to-week basis, is the unique winners, despite points, generally trending in their direction. Elliot, the last 3 weeks, has gone from just kind of hanging around to actually really starting to perform. And what I mean by that for Chase is not only does he get the victory yesterday in impressive fashion, Alex Bowman lends a helping hand. They double team up on Brad Keselowski. Sorry, no longer Brad Keselowski, unfortunately. That was Denny Hamlin's honor this week, rocking the King's Hawaiian paint scheme. But they double team Keselowski. Elliot gets the victory. His last 3 races specifically right now: Mexico 3rd, Pocono 5th, Atlanta 1st. If you would have just took Mexico and Pocono, those would have been his first consecutive top 5s of the entire season. So you could see his consistency start to elevate, right? If you take those away entirely and add just that third thing together, I mean, we're going from your first consecutive top 5 finishes to all of a sudden 3 consecutive top 5 finishes for Chase Elliott. So he's gone from okay, kind of in the middle, to things are working out really, really well for me right now, is what it comes down to for Elliott. So he's finding his stride in all the right moments. Now, oddly enough, this was his first win, let me make sure I get this right, since April 14th of last season, when he won the Auto Trader EchoPark Automotive 400 at Texas in Fort Worth. So EchoPark, if it's got EchoPark branding on it, Chase Elliott, more likely than not, going to have a good time. Ironically enough, this is the first time he's also had 3 consecutive top 5 finishes since that time last year. He won that race, but prior to had also finished 5th and 3rd, nearly identical to what we're dealing with now. Different tracks at the time, but very, very similar for Chase Elliott fans when he kind of hit that hot streak last year. And that came earlier on in the season. This one coming more towards, obviously, the middle of the road point for Chase, but he's hitting all the right notes at all the right times. So Chase Elliott is your winner. 1 win on the season, 6 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and 3 straight finishes in the top 5. Let's get to the rest of these guys, 2nd through 40th, all the way throughout. We're going to have some fast facts for you on at least the top 20. Not to snub anyone from 21st onward. Ultimately, we could be here all day, discuss those guys. They're still worthwhile statistics knowing, but we're just going to focus on the top 20 for the sake of simplicity and making sure that we get through some of these guys so you can kind of know what transpired. 2nd place, of course, Brad Keselowski. This is the 4th top 10 of the season now, but all have come within the last 6 races for Brad. So he's been really good as of late, and it wouldn't shock me if he ends up being one of those guys who does punch his ticket to the playoffs with a victory. They're hitting the right notes at the right times. Unfortunately for Brad, like he said on the radio after the race, I just needed a teammate, and things very well could have gone different for that number 6 machine. So 4th top 10 of the season, all have come within the last 6 races. He's going for broke right now. All right, some pit road being closed didn't help him last week. Not having a teammate didn't help him this week. Things maybe don't necessarily all add up the way they should, but he's putting himself in position, something you could not say earlier on in the year. Alex Bowman comes in at number 3rd after finishes of 29th, 36th, 36 again, multiple times there. Bowman now has 3 races showing of 4th, 11th, and 3rd. So after a little rough patch there, as all drivers go through, it's not about what happens in that moment, it's how you respond. And Alex Bowman has responded in a big time way. 4th, 11th, and 3rd, 2 top 5s in his last 3 races in that number 48 Chevrolet. Tyler Reddick finishes 4th, and you might think, okay, another Tyler Reddick 4th place performance, had a chance to win a couple times, was up there at the front consistently. You're wrong. That's the first top 10 he's had since Nashville. Been a long time. That was 5-6 races ago, right in that vicinity there. It's the first top 5 he's had since Darlington, which was 11 races ago. So Reddick, right around that playoff bubble type area, He's had some stretches, some very rough stretches this year. 11 races it's been since he's had a top 5. He snaps that streak by taking 4th. He was clearly visibly frustrated after the performance, doing his post-race interview there on TNT. You could tell that he's just like, whatever, we just need some more things to go our way. But for Reddick, that's a great step in the right direction for a team that's had some rough little stretches here. Eric Jones checking in right now at that 5th spot, despite running in the top 20 13 of 18 races. This is his first top 5 he's had since Texas, 8 races ago for Jones. So that has to feel incredibly good. He had a smile on his face during his post-race interview. You could tell he was pumped about it, feeling good, feeling happy, as he should. Legacy Motor Club continues to take those steps. I thought John Hunter Nemechek, who had some moments up there towards the front as well, was going to join in on the fun. But like most cars, some type of damage, some type of incident, some type of something. And Eric Jones had multiple moments where he could have ended his day. Got a little lucky a couple times, once where he wrecked himself, once where he kind of got involved in something. So to bring that 43 home 5th is a good performance in his first top 5 since Texas, 8 races ago. That's his 3rd top 10, by the way, in those same 8 races for that Jones boy. Ricky Stenhouse comes in at number 6. He hadn't finished better than 20th in his last 9 races. Let me make sure that's correct. Last 4 races, all right? Hadn't finished better than 20th in his last 4 races. So been a little lag there for Stenhouse. Not quite 9. Sorry, Ricky. My apologies. But last 4 races, he hadn't finished better than 20th. And for Stenhouse, this is big. He has 3 top 10s on the season for that number 47. 2 of them are at Atlanta/EchoPark. That's Ricky Stenhouse's. 2 of his 3 have all come in the ATL. Zane Smith had a shot there towards the end, just like Stenhouse. Multiple of these guys did. They'd back up, get a big run, made for an exciting performance. You never knew who would take the lead next or who could clear or who couldn't clear. Smith was one of those guys that with under 5 to go, that just for a hot second you thought maybe, just maybe, there might be an opportunity. He ends up finishing 7th. He is... for Zane, that is his first Cup career top 10 at Atlanta, so congratulations to Mr. Smith. He got 11th in February, was dang close. So that's going to tie his best finish of the year, by the way, that 7th place performance in the Aaron's Dream Machine. And not only does it tie his best performance, that came at Michigan not too many weeks ago. So he's starting to string together a couple nice little performances there in that number 38, which is awesome because Front Row Motorsports needs a little bit of that good fortune right now. The 4 has had its moments. The 34 has had its moments. Things have seemed worse more often than not the last little while for Front Row. So to see Zane Smith bring home that top 10, his first top 10 of his career at Atlanta, congratulations to him. 8th place, Ty Dillon. Awesome. The Colleague machine comes in, finishing nice and strong inside that top 10. It is Ty's first top 10 of the season. His previous best finish was 12th at Texas, a couple spots outside of that top 10. So Dillon brings it on home. He was incredibly racy, also involved in an incident throughout this performance and was still able to bring that thing home intact and in the top 10. First one all year for Ty. 9th spot was Cinnamon Toast Chris Buescher in that number 17 CTR. Cinnamon Toast, CTC, there we go. There's no R there involved. CTC machine for Buescher. He's going to bring that one in the 9th spot. 4 straight top 10s for the number 17, mind you. He has been as consistent as it gets for Buescher. He's got top 15 finishes in 6 of the last 7 races. So if you need someone to put a little money on to be consistent for you, Buescher might be your guy. 6 of the last 7 have been in the top 15, 4 straight top 10s for that RFK machine. 10th spot, rounding it out, Carson Hocevar. He is going to snap a 3-race skid of finishing outside the top 15, finally gets in there 10th. It didn't look like it was going to be easy for him. He was up towards the front earlier on, involved in an incident, had to get his lap back, fights back up to the top, finishes 10th. Tip the hat to Carson Hocevar for the fight. Love him or hate him, kid does not give in whatsoever. Speaking of kids, let's go on down to 11th to 15th, put it up on the board. Connor Zilic, awesome job. Got a little experience in the Xfinity race on Friday night. Turned it in as well on Saturday night in that number 87 Red Bull Trackhouse machine. Best Trackhouse finisher by a long shot, really, because he was the only Trackhouse finisher who wasn't fully involved in any big-time incidents. He was there. He was in the area, but he didn't have the same damage that Chastain did or a Suarez did or even an SVG did for that matter. But Zilic brings it home. His heartbeat had to be pumping. The young man, his 3rd Cup start, massive performance there for Zilic. He has that's going to be his best career finish, obviously. His first lead lap finish on top of that for Connor, and that's the only Trackhouse car in the top 20. So that's Zilic, 11th. AJ Allmendinger, dude, I had to double check this. This is why I do this podcast / YouTube channel / whatever. This media output is because I like to go back and I like to see who ended up finishing where that I may not have noticed during the race itself. You know, they flash the top results from 1st to 36 or 1st to 40th or whatever, and you kind of peruse it, and you don't retain any of that. AJ Allmendinger finishing 12th. He was a part of that wreck earlier on around lap 69 that took out so many good cars and somehow brings it home. I feel like at Mexico, I thought his car got junked. I thought it got junked here at EchoPark. And AJ Allmendinger still finds a way to get her done in that 16. For Allmendinger and that 12th spot, that quiet yet strong finish. He finished 14th there in February, so consecutive top 15s on a restrictor plate track, which I know AJ is not necessarily the biggest fan of. So yeah, you take that. You take that for Allmendinger. Moving on from 12th to 13th, Cody Ware. That's right, the number 51 Rick Ware Racing Machine to be sold. Rick Ware Racing Machine. Not only his first top 15 of the season for Ware, but specifically you're looking at it's 11 spots better than his previous best result 11 spots. That's a big jump, which was 24th, I think, at Phoenix for that number 51 car. So congratulations to Cody. He probably had one of the cleanest cars on the racetrack at the tail end. Very valid strategy of just kind of hanging back and letting everybody else take each other out and capitalizing at the end for wear. So top 15 for the number 51. Ty Gibbs, man, back-to-back weeks where he's finished 14th. This week, didn't feel like 14th should have been a spot. Got shuffled towards the back there at the tail end and all the chaos. Gibbs led 30-plus laps, I think 32 laps in this race for that number 54 Sonic / Grillo's Pickles machine. And I feel bad for Ty. I mean, I know he's got his haters, and rightfully so. I don't think any person should be oblivious to criticisms or dislike or whatever it may be, but Ty Gibbs specifically put on a really good race, and the end result doesn't necessarily show that. But to paint a positive picture for Ty Gibbs fans, after back-to-back weeks of that 14th place finish, what I found is that's his worst finish in the last 4 races. And if 14th is your worst finish in a 4-race stretch, you're doing pretty good. That's not atrocious by any sense of the word. And after a rough start to the season, you can kind of start to see him turn things around. 14th may not tell you the whole picture, but seeing up towards the front of the race, that certainly helps things out in that situation. So for Gibbs, in the 54, he has 3rd, 11th, 14th, and 14th. So only has one top 10, which was a top 5 to speak of, but he's finished in the top 15 in all of those, with 14th being his worst. Ryan Preece, let's move on down to him now in 15th. That top 15 finish, right on the bubble specifically, but that top 15 finish with a messed up, damaged vehicle there on that 60 machine. He has finished in the top 15 5 of his last 6 races for Ryan Preece. So I know he's one of the bubble drivers, needs something magical to happen here and there. It's going to be a fight to eventually punch your way into the playoffs come that time. But he continues to be as consistent as they get. Both him and Buescher, and in fact, RFK as a whole, has just been the definition of consistency over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I would argue ever since Brad started to get on board and that 6 team started to show up, Buescher and Preece were already kind of doing it here and there, but now Brad's in on the action, and they're a fun team to watch on a weekly basis. BJ McLeod, let's get 16th through 20th up here on the board. BJ McLeod, what a performance for him. Absolutely stoked to see that from the 78. He's only started 3 races this year. Obviously, his involvement has slowly decreased after Live Fast Motorsports came to the scene. They used to be a full-time car. Now they're a part-time car, and they change up who drives it every so often, whether it's Legg or McLeod or whoever it might be. BJ gets the start here at Atlanta. 3 starts this year. That's his best finish. He's got 2 top 25 finishes, though, in his 3 starts. That's worth noting. And that is going to be his best finish since he took 7th in the 2022 Coke 0400 at Daytona 3 years ago. So good job for BJ. Those restrictor play tracks obviously are going to be his bread and butter in terms of getting elite finishes out of a team of that size, but he continues to take advantage, gets a top 20 home here. And the thing about it too, the 78 was involved in that big-time pile-up that took out a bunch of good cars. It was one of those cars down on the apron who had been involved and still found a way to rally and get that done. Kyle Larson finishes 17th behind BJ McLeod. I know that's an interesting scenario to think of, but 3 starts this year. He took 3rd. That's what I was trying to say. He took 3rd in February in this race. Took 17th, obviously, yesterday, but he's had 4 straight races before that outside of the top 30 at Atlanta. So, really, 17th may not be what you want, Larson fans, but on this track for Kyle, these are promising steps in the right direction. A 3rd and a 17th place finish considering you've had 4 straight outside of the top 30. Unfortunate DNF accident type runs there at EchoPark. Michael McDowell, 18th. 2 top 20s at Atlanta this year, 13th and 18th for that number 71. Needed that bounce back after they put forth their worst performance. Not their worst performance, but had their worst result of the year last week at Pocono for the 71. Cole Custer, 19th in the 41 machine. Custer is a unique setup. He had a top 10 at Mexico that we were all pumped about. He qualified in the top 10 back-to-back weeks since then. Did it last week at Pocono. Did it this week here at Atlanta. And unfortunately, the qualifying results don't necessarily equate to the finishing results for Custer of the last little while, but you see the terms of progression that single car team is starting to make with Cole, and I'm excited about that for him. So top 20, that's his 5th top 20 of the season for Mr. Custer. Lastly, 20th, Austin Dillon. This is the last one I'm going to give you any fast facts on. Specifically with Austin Dillon, he's had a stretch of 10th, and 7th dating back a little while ago that ranged from that Bristol to Texas era where Dillon was really looking like he was coming into his own, was the premier RCR car there for a little while, and you said, okay, we might be onto something. Ever since then, his best finish is 19th in about 7 races, so this 20th place finish about right on par with that, and Dillon qualified well. One of those cars, banged up, hurt, as they all are. This isn't me nitpicking. It's just the stark reality that the 3 has been on a bit of a cold stretch as of late. Rest of the results, Kyle Busch finishes 21st. Bubba Wallace finishes 22nd here. The big thing is Kyle Busch was the last car on the lead lap. That number 8 machine also considerably banged up behind his teammate Austin Dillon there. So from 22nd onward, everyone's down a lap. Bubba Wallace was down multiple. Justin Haley finished 3 laps down, which just sucks because Ty Dillon got loose, got up into him, apologized post-race. And it's unfortunate. It's racing, it happens, but Haley was looking good there for a long time and had to get his car brought on back for him. He finishes 3 laps down in the 23rd spot. Van Gisbergen showed some flashes there for a little bit too. He was also involved in a couple different scenarios, specifically a spin that looked like it did some damages. He went across the front stretch of the grass. Everything there for Van Gisbergen. Noah Gragson finishes 8 laps down in 25th. John Hunter Nemechek finishes 19 laps down. You have Todd Gilliland 23 laps down. He got involved in Riley Herbst, who finishes right behind him at 28th. When he spun up the track, got loose. Both cars ended up collected in that one. David Starr finishes 29th. This is where we hit our did not finish portion of the race. Your last running car was Riley Herbst in 28th, and running is a very loose term. These cars were very banged up, but from David Starr onward, DNFs. That's Starr in 29th, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Josh Berry, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, last week's winner, of course, Christopher Bell, February's winner, all involved, Joey Logano, William Byron, Austin Cindric, Corey LaJoie, and Ryan Blaney. Lots of DNFs, lots of big names happened right around lap 69 to take those guys out. That's your race recap, race results, some of your fast facts. Let's jump into our awards here, get those rocking and rolling. Let's start with the riser of the race. This, of course, is the car that did exactly as the name implies and rose up through the field as the race ensued. It's going to be Ricky Stenhouse here, man. He went up 31 spots, kept it mostly clean in that number 47 Hungry Jack Chevy, the pancake machine for Ricky Stenhouse. And did a good job doing so for Hayek Motorsports and everyone involved there. And they needed it too for Stenhouse. It's been a little rough stretch. We talked about those 4 races where they've been struggling a little bit. But for Tricky Ricky, he ends up finishing 6th and going up 31 spots from his qualifying position, which of course, do some math there. 37th is where Stenhouse ended up starting this race. So I even had a stout chance there, maybe towards the tail end, but an end result that can put a smile on his face after that's all said and done. Stenhouse is your riser. Your free faller, as this implies, this is the guy who dropped all the way down to the bottom. Shocking, I know. But if we were to do it technically, right, like with just numbers straight up, obviously, your riser is going to be Ryan Blaney, who dropped 37 spots. He finishes dead last in 40th. He started 3rd. That's a minus 37. Can't really fault someone like Blaney for that. That's not them just falling due to performance whatsoever. So if we get away from cars wrecked and cars damaged and cars in incidents, things like that, and we focus more on cars that were still... It's tough in this race because so many cars had damage, but cars that were still viable, then technically we'd have to go to Cole Custer, who qualified 7th. He finishes 19th. So that's probably the area we need to go with someone like the 41. And that drop, that is a minus 12 right there for Cole Custer in such a situation. So he's probably going to take away your free faller award this week. Still a top 20 for Custer in the qualifying result. That's a win in its own right. But he does fill the need for this free-falling category. Your manufacturer of the week. Let's rock and roll with that. Ford may have won the qualifying battle. Chevy absolutely won the war here. They had the victory in Chase Elliott. They accounted for 7 of the top 15 spots here in the Quaker State 400 at EchoPark Speedway. And you add the winner to that, bow on top, right? You have Elliott, you have Bowman, Stenhouse, Ty Dillon, Hosevar, Zilich, Allmendinger, some unlikely candidates out of those 7-2 in the top 15, which of course wreck avoidance plays a role on tracks such as this one, but still worth noting that Chevy put up a lot of cars in that top 15. Some of them maybe weren't necessarily expected, and Chevrolet is going to win your manufacturer of the week. Moving on now, team of the race. This one's kind of tough to pick because 3 teams had 2 reps inside the top 15. In fact, RFK had 3. All 3 of their cars finishing in the top 15. Colleague had both cars, Ty Dillon 8th, AJ Allmendinger 12th. Well-deserving of a shout-out there. You also, going away from Colleague, had a situation whereas Hendrick Motorsports finishes 1 and 3rd, but then William Byron does not finish, and Kyle Larson's back there in 17th with damage on that 5. So, I mean, what direction do you really go here? I want to give RFK the credit for the 2nd place finish, for Buscher finishing 9th, for Priest finishing right on the cusp there of that top 15. That's a solid team performance they can all high-five about, here come the beginning of this next week. But I'm just going to have to go here. I hate to do it, but Hendrick Motorsports most likely finishing 1 and 3, and then having your 3rd car still even finish in the top 20, whereas RFK's 3rd car finishes 15th. It's close enough. The win overpowers it all with Chase Elliott and Bowman right there behind Keselowski. I'm giving Hendrick a slight advantage over RFK, which I hate to do. But I'd rather pick RFK, but I think I got to go with Hendrick for the 1-3 finish here. And also, if we want to talk about team of the race, I mean, they don't beat Brad Keselowski unless they legitimately utilize each other as teammates. That's a pivotal talking point in this one, where Brad literally said after, I just needed a teammate. Makes all the difference in the world. So teammates combined, they get the win, power, friendship, right on. So Hendrick Motorsports going to win that team of the race. Rookie of the race. Normally this is between Shane Van Gisbergen and Riley Herbst. And Shane Van Gisbergen wins it by finishing 26th, then Herbst wins, and Herbst gets second by finishing 31st or whatever. This week, not the case. Nope, Connor Zilich in his 3rd Cup start finishing 11th. What a race it was to be a part of as well. I can't imagine the emotions. I can't imagine the drama. Can't imagine what was going through the mind of someone like Zilich in such a moment, but he performs incredibly well, gets it done. He's going to be our Rookie of the Race, even though he's not technically in the running for the Sunoco Rookie of the Race award throughout. Overperformer here. You could go with BJ McLeod. I thought that was an excellent performance. All could count, but Cody Ware and Ty Dillon, I'm going to give them co-awards in this situation here at Atlanta because Ty Dillon had 12 starts here in the ATL. He finished in the top 15 once, and it was 15th. So to go from all of a sudden to that to 8th, well-deserving. And Cody Ware had never finished better than 23rd in 10 starts at Atlanta. But he also, Ty Dillon gets a slight edge up here. I want to make sure we recognize Cody Ware finishing 13th. But I'm going to give it to Ty Dillon overall. Co-awards is weak. Let's take a stand here. I'm changing my mind right now, calling an audible on the fly. That award is going to go to Ty Dillon for being a bit more racy, right? Dillon was up there in the pack. He was involved in an incident, giving it the all, bumping and banging, ends up turning the 7 around. Whereas Cody Ware, just a viable restrictor plate track strategy, hanging around in the back, letting everyone else take care of each other, and then capitalizing on other people, ending up in the wall or racing too hard. Like, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I'm going to give it to Ty Dillon so slightly for getting in there, getting his hands a little dirtier and mixing things up. So Dillon is going to be your overperformer of the race. Your underperformer, this one's really hard to pick because everybody's so damaged. I could say, yes, Ryan Blaney finished 40th. He's clearly your underperformer. He got wrecked. Almost everybody everybody got wrecked. There's damage on 1,000 different vehicles out there. If you have a favorite driver, guess what? They probably had damage on their vehicle. It was that kind of race. So I can't just pick someone based on where they finished in the standings. So I'm looking specifically at more so, where do the trends add up for these types of guys? So I'm going to go Joey Logano. That's right, your pole sitter. He's your underperformer. Not specifically just for this race. Logano's incident, no fault of his own. Innocent bystander type scenario, but more so what's been happening the last little while for that 22 car. His speed's just been off. I'm not talking Atlanta could have turned it around. We'll never know because of what went down, but he hasn't finished in the top 15 5 of the last 6 races. I think he finished top 5, 4th maybe at Nashville. He hasn't finished in the top 15 in many of these, and he's just lacked the speed that you anticipate from a championship contender. So not necessarily because of this race, but because of overarching themes, I'm going to give Joey Logano your underperformer. Lap leader here, 46 lead changes, 13 unique drivers. Chase Elliott led 41, but by default, big bad Brad Keselowski is your lap leader, 46 laps led in that number 6 Ford. And it's unfortunate that things ended the way they did for him, but you can be proud of the performance. Not only did he have a chance to win, but he had a chance to just simply sit at the front most of the night in that number 6. Your did not finish tracker, DNFs. Bubba Wallace came into this one leading it all with 6 after Ryan Blaney gets turned up into the wall while he was in avoidance mode. Blaney also has 6 on the season. So it's a two-way tie between the 12 and the 23 for the most DNFs on the season. If you're also wondering, 12 cars total added to their DNF statistic after last night's festivities. A lot of carnage in this one specifically. Also, outside of all that, you got your paint scheme of the race. Yeah, paint scheme of the race for me, listen, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch car was beautiful. The activation was fantastic. The play into the sponsorship this week, it's exactly the kind of stuff NASCAR needs, and it's what they got there on that 17 machine. I'm a sucker, of course, for movie tie-ins. Superman on Tyler Reddick's car, well-deserving there. I got to be blunt with you, though. I really liked the King's Hawaiian look on Denny Hamlin's Toyota. I thought that was one of King's Hawaiian's best schemes since they've been in the sport, and they did it right with the theming there on the 11. An unfortunate ending to the vehicle. Orange isn't my favorite color, but I like the King's Hawaiian one as well. So Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Superman slash Upper Deck on that 45 Toyota for 2311. And then, of course, King's Hawaiian I thought did an excellent job. My wife, she's got to get her pick in there. She says it's the Frosty car, Ross Chastain, who unfortunately ended up this way on the track and damaged and did not finish, but she liked that number 1 Frosty machine with all its different colors. Lastly, before we look at the standings, get you on your way, let's just look at who's hot and who's cold. Your hot driver of the week, it's Chase Elliott. It would have been Denny Hamlin last week. Hamlin involved in an incident. It's Elliott this week. As I said above, let me just reiterate here. He's now got 3 consecutive top 5 finishes, the first time he's done this since like April of last season, and he's just bided his time, done what he could, and now he's capitalizing at the exact right moment. 3rd at Mexico, 5th at Pocono, 1st at Atlanta / EchoPark Speedway, whatever you want to call it, and he's looking good while doing so. So trying to take over this season as it currently stands, Chase Elliott is the hottest driver on the circuit right now. If you're looking for cold, Noah Gragson, he's in the running. 5 straight races outside of the top 20 for that number 4 car. We talk about the struggles of Front Row Motorsports right now. Todd Gilliland's track record isn't much better necessarily. I know he was 8 laps down. I know he was damaged. And that number 4 Zep Ford, can't fault him for that, but it's been a very cold stretch right now for Noah Gragson. We're not asking for top 15s, not asking for top 10s, just a 17th here, maybe an 18th. Totally viable, and they haven't necessarily been able to secure that. But if you really want who's the coldest, it's Riley Herbst in the 35 car. Looked competitive for a little bit last night, lost it, ended up taking out Todd Gilliland in the process. Herbst is on a cold stretch right now. I'm talking blizzard. If you were looking at this, he is the real answer. He got 14th at Texas. Then in the 7 points races since, his best finish is 24th right now. And Yeah, his best finish is 24th in the last 7 races. So Riley Herbst is your real answer for cold streak right now. But Gragson, not super far behind, but Herbst is the struggle bus at this point in time. Lastly, let's just look at the standings, see what's going on in them, so you have an idea of who really jumped up, who didn't, who's staying right around the same area. Right now, William Byron is still your driver points leader. Chase Elliott bumped up 3 spots. He's number 2. Kyle Larson fell 1. Denny Hamlin fell 1. Christopher Bell fell 1. Tyler Reddick ends up jumping up 1 to 6th. Ryan Blaney 7th. Ross Chastain is 8th. Chris Buescher 9th. He went up 2 spots after another top 10 for Buescher. Briscoe fell 1 even after his win last week, involved in the incident here. Joey Logano will drop another spot to 11th in the 22. Bowman went up 1 with another top 5 in the 48. Bubba Wallace will slip 1. Ryan Preece 14th. Austin Cindric 15th. Eric Jones 16th, jumps 2 spots after his 5th place finish. AJ Allmendinger, Carson Hocevar, who rose 2 spots. Josh Berry fell 3 spots. More unfortunate luck strikes the 21. Of course, he is locked in the playoffs. And Kyle Busch will round out your top 20. He will fall a spot as well in the number 8. Your playoff standings, of course, don't equate to that. Shane Van Gisbergen, one of those names who's going to be in there due to his victory and what he was able to do in Mexico City. But you're going to be looking at a slew of guys who just have to win because it is getting very tight up towards the top. That's going to do it for the Catch Can. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe if you want to, if you feel like it. If so, appreciate it. I'm going to try to get these out, as I said, every day after the race, give you some more in-depth statistics on what's going on in the world of the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing. We'll catch you next time right here on the Catch Can channel.